You don't need to announce your moves. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to explain why you're shifting, why you're choosing different, or why you're not who you used to be. The truth is, the most powerful transformations happen in silence. The real glow-up doesn't ask for attention. It demands it after the work is done. So stop chasing noise. Stop chasing applause. Stop explaining. Focus on yourself so fiercely that your progress speaks louder than your words ever could. This isn't about proving people wrong. It's about proving yourself right. It's about tuning out the world long enough to hear your own voice again. That voice that's been buried under opinions, pressure, distractions, and doubt. You don't need more noise. You need more alignment, more clarity, more ownership, because once you lock in on yourself, everything around you shifts, not because you said something, but because you became something. This is your season to move in silence, build without broadcast, let your discipline be louder than your excuses, let your consistency shake the room before you even walk in, quiet focus, ruthless execution. That's how you shock everyone, without saying a single word. There's a moment when the noise finally dies down, when the texts stop coming, the notifications stop buzzing, the opinions quiet, and there's no one left to validate you or distract you. That's where the real shift happens. Most people run from that moment. They scramble to fill the silence. They reach for something, anything, that keeps them connected to the illusion that they're not alone. But the truth, that silence is a gift. Solitude is not your punishment. It's your platform. You don't need an audience to evolve. Growth is not a performance. You've just been conditioned to think that every move you make needs to be witnessed. But the most powerful transformations happen behind closed doors. They happen when nobody's clapping, when no one's checking in, when the world isn't watching. That's where you become dangerous. That's where you start building a version of yourself no one saw coming. You make peace with solitude when you stop fearing your own reflection. Not just in the mirror, but in your thoughts, in your patterns, in the choices you've been avoiding. Solitude is uncomfortable because it forces honesty. It's not the absence of people, it's the presence of truth. And most people don't want that. They want distraction. They want noise. They want someone to tell them they're okay so they don't have to ask themselves why they don't feel okay. But if you want to shock the world without saying a word, you've got to go to that quiet place. You've got to sit in the stillness and not run from what you hear. You've got to be the one who doesn't flinch when the mirror shows you your mess. Because once you see it clearly, you can fix it. You can shift. You can rewrite the whole script, and nobody even has to know it's happening until it's too late for them to catch up. Everyone wants to be impressive, but no one wants to be invisible for a season. The ones who shock everyone are the ones who are willing to disappear. Not permanently, just long enough to stop performing, long enough to stop proving, long enough to stop seeking. Because when you're not begging the world to see you, you finally start seeing yourself. And that kind of self-awareness is lethal. It sharpens you. It makes you focused. It strips you down until all that's left is the raw, untapped version of you that's been buried under noise, approval, and expectation. When you focus on yourself in solitude, you stop asking for permission to level up. You stop waiting for the right time, or the right partner, or the right job. You stop needing external alignment because you've found internal conviction. And conviction doesn't scream, it doesn't advertise, it moves in silence and shifts everything in its path. It's calm, it's steady, it's unshakable. That's the kind of power you build when you step back and start doing the work that no one claps for. And make no mistake, people will notice, but not right away. First, they'll wonder where you went. Then they'll assume you've lost your spark, that you've fallen off, that you've given up. Let them. You're not here to correct their assumptions. You're here to construct your future. And the deeper you go into that solitude, the clearer your vision gets, the sharper your instincts become. You stop chasing and start attracting. You stop scrolling and start building. You stop overthinking and start executing. Because now you're not fueled by fear or pressure or the need to be liked. You're fueled by clarity. Solitude gave you that. Solitude showed you what actually matters, what's actually yours, and what you've been carrying that never belonged to you. When you've been alone with yourself long enough, You stop tolerating anything that doesn't align. That includes habits, people, thoughts, environments. Everything gets filtered through a new standard. Not a louder one, a quieter one. One that whispers, "I know who I am now." And that whisper gets louder than any applause ever could. Motivation is unreliable. It's emotional. It comes and goes like a mood swing. And if you're depending on it to get things done, you're setting yourself up to fail. Discipline, though, discipline doesn't care how you feel. Discipline shows up when you're tired, when you're bored, when you're uninspired, when the goal feels 100 miles away and no one's cheering. That's what makes it rare. That's what makes it powerful. Discipline is what builds the things motivation only talks about. You don't need to feel like it. You don't need to wait for a spark. You don't need to hear the right song, read the right quote, or wake up in the right mood. You just need to move, show up, do the thing, over and over and over. You build consistency the same way you build strength. Through reps. Through boring, silent, repetitive action that doesn't look impressive on the outside, but completely rewires you on the inside. That's where the shift happens, quietly, daily, ruthlessly. Everyone talks about results. Everyone wants the big reveal, the transformation, the win. But the result doesn't show up at the end. It shows up every single day in the process. It shows up at 5 a.m. when no one's awake. It shows up when you say no to the easy option. It shows up when you go to the gym when your body's screaming for rest, when you write the next page, make the next call, practice the next rep, when no one's watching, when no one cares, and when you don't feel like it. That's when it counts. That's when it actually gets built. Motivation makes noise. It's loud, flashy, temporary. It wants recognition. Discipline, though, discipline is silent. It moves like a shadow. It doesn't need attention. It just needs action. Quiet consistency is a weapon. It doesn't look like much until it's unstoppable. It stacks days, it stacks progress. It stacks habits so solid you could do them in your sleep. And while other people are waiting to feel ready, you're already miles ahead because you chose to move without it. The world loves hype. The world feeds on dopamine, on trends, on instant results. But if you're trying to build something real, something that lasts, it's not about the highs, it's about the follow-through. That's what separates the talkers from the doers, the dreamers from the builders. The hype dies, and all that's left is whether you kept going, whether you showed up after the motivation burned out, because it will burn out. And if you haven't learned how to move without it, you'll quit, you'll fall back, you'll become another person who started strong and disappeared. You don't have to be extreme. You just have to be consistent. Discipline isn't about all or nothing. It's about not letting nothing become your default. It's about stringing together small actions like they matter. Because they do. The little things, they're the whole thing. The water you drink, the phone you don't pick up, the 30 minutes you commit, the plan you follow, the limits you push. None of that looks exciting in the moment, but done daily, it compounds. It changes your brain. It changes your habits. It changes your identity, and people won't see it right away. They won't notice you're changing. They'll keep thinking you're the same, but over time, they'll start asking what happened, how you did it, what your secret was, and the truth is, it was boring. It wasn't a hack. It wasn't a breakthrough. It wasn't some magical burst of inspiration. It was discipline. Quiet, ruthless, repetitive discipline. No spotlight, no hype, just action. Let everyone else chase motivation like a drug. You build your own system. Create your own rhythm. Set your own standard and stick to it like it's law. Even when you don't see progress. Even when you don't feel different. Even when it feels pointless. Because the days you don't want to show up, but do anyway. Those are the days that are building the version of you who no longer needs to fake it. You become it not through motivation, through muscle memory, through routine, through showing up like your future depends on it, because it does. Let your consistency do the talking. Let your results speak louder than your excuses. Let your quiet routine become a storm that no one saw coming. Because while they were watching for noise, you were building power in silence. You don't owe anyone an explanation for why you're changing, why you're unavailable, why your energy feels different, why you're no longer interested in what you used to tolerate. Stop thinking you have to break it down for people who were never really listening in the first place. Every time you try to explain yourself, you dilute your conviction. You start bending your truth to fit someone else's comfort zone. And for what? Approval, understanding. Most people don't want the truth. They want you to stay familiar, predictable, easy to label, easy to manage. Clarity isn't something you hand out. It's something people earn by watching you over time, by paying attention, by doing the work to understand. If someone needs a full essay to comprehend your growth, they're not ready for where you're headed. And that's not your problem to fix. You've got places to be. You've got patterns to break. You've got a new version of yourself to build. And that doesn't include constant explanations for why you're choosing to level up. You don't need to justify your standards. You don't need to defend your boundaries. You don't need to explain why you stopped texting back, why you walked away, why you said no, why you didn't show up to that event, or why you're moving different now. If it makes sense to you, that's enough. If it brings you peace, that's enough. If it feels aligned, that's enough. Stop giving out free access to your inner process. Not everyone deserves a front row seat to your evolution. People will project. They'll assume, they'll talk, let them. That's what they do when they feel your shift but can't control it. Your silence threatens their comfort. Your distance exposes their entitlement. The moment you stop explaining, you take back your power. Because explaining isn't always about clarity. It's about permission. And you don't need that anymore. You've done enough convincing. Now it's time to move, quietly, unapologetically, decisively. They'll say you've changed. And they'll be right. That's the point. You weren't supposed to stay who they were comfortable with. You weren't supposed to shrink to make your choices digestible. Not everyone's going to understand your healing. Your grind, your shift in mindset, that's okay. Clarity will come, but not through your words, through your actions, through your consistency, through the results that speak for themselves. You don't need to narrate your glow up. Just keep glowing. When you constantly explain yourself, you teach people that your truth is up for debate, that your direction is negotiable, that they have a say in how you move. They don't. You've spent too long making yourself small so others could feel big. You've wasted too much time spelling things out for people who are never going to get it. You don't need their validation. You need your own alignment, and that doesn't require an audience. It requires a decision. And here's the truth. The more you grow, the less you explain. Not because you're hiding anything, but because you're focused now. Because you've realized energy is currency, and you're done spending it where it doesn't return. You've realized that real clarity is built, not begged for. Built through consistent action, through boundaries, through standards that don't bend just to keep the peace. You don't get to control how people interpret your life. You only get to control how you live it. So live it in a way that's honest, that's aligned, that's free from over-explaining every move like you owe a press release for every boundary you set. They'll catch up, or they won't. Either way, you're good, because clarity isn't about everyone else understanding. It's about you not needing them to. You're not required to carry the weight of other people's confusion. You're not here to fix their discomfort. Growth comes with distance. Progress comes with misunderstanding. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is stop talking and just move. Keep showing up. Keep evolving. Keep choosing yourself. Let them misunderstand. Let them speculate. Let them talk. You've got nothing to prove. Everyone wants the win. Everyone wants the recognition, the likes, the fire emojis, the praise. It feels good, right? To be seen, to be validated, to have people notice your hustle. But if you need applause to move, you're already losing, because applause fades. Validation is fleeting. 1 minute you're the trend, the next minute you're forgotten. If that's your fuel, you're running on fumes. Progress doesn't clap. Progress doesn't cheer you on. It's quiet. It's slow. It's repetitive. It happens behind the scenes while everyone else is watching the highlight reel. Obsessing over applause is a trap. It pulls your focus outward when all your power is inward. You start making moves for attention instead of alignment. You start performing instead of progressing. And before you know it, you're doing things just to be seen instead of doing the thing that actually moves you forward. Stop chasing applause. Chase your own standard. Chase the thing you said you'd do. Chase your growth, even if no one notices it yet. Especially when no one notices it yet. Progress doesn't announce itself with fanfare. It builds slowly, with sweat and boredom and repetition. It shows up on the days when nothing looks impressive, when no one's paying attention, when you question whether it's even working. That's where the growth is. That's the part most people quit, because they think if no one's clapping, it's not worth doing. But here's the truth. The most powerful people in the room aren't the loudest. They're the ones who didn't stop when the applause disappeared. They kept showing up when no one was watching. They kept stacking wins when no one was cheering. They kept choosing discipline when everyone else was waiting to feel motivated. That kind of obsession, it doesn't need noise. It builds its own momentum, and eventually it becomes undeniable. Progress is the kind of thing that creeps up. It's invisible until it's not. One day you wake up and realize you don't react the same way. You don't need the same validation. You don't crave the same attention. You're not trying to prove anything anymore. You're just doing the work because it's who you are now. Not because it's glamorous. Not because someone's going to clap for it. But because you've tasted the power of becoming someone you're proud of. And now you're addicted to that. Applause is external. Progress is internal. One makes you feel good for a moment. The other builds you into something solid, something unshakable, something no one can take from you. You don't control who claps. You don't control how people perceive your effort. But you do control your focus, your priorities, your ability to show up, so shift it. Shift it away from performance, away from needing eyes on you. Away from trying to prove you're doing something great. Just do something great, even if no one notices. Especially then, because real progress, it's uncomfortable, it's humbling, it will stretch you. It will make you question everything. It will ask you to get over yourself and keep going, even when it looks like nothing is changing. It will demand that you trade short-term dopamine for long-term development. That's not sexy, that's not Instagrammable, but that's where the transformation lives, in the ugly reps, in the early mornings, in the missed parties, in the unread posts, in the you've changed texts. That's the price, and most people won't pay it because they're too busy performing for applause they'll never get. You've got to choose what matters more, attention or achievement. One distracts you, the other develops you. One fades, the other compounds. Be honest. Are you grinding for results or just trying to look like you are? Because if you really want it, if you actually care about what you're building, you won't care who sees it. You'll be too locked in, too obsessed with stacking progress to stop and check who's watching. Let other people chase applause. Let them burn out trying to be impressive. You focus on being undeniable. Focus on being the person who doesn't need the noise, because the results speak for themselves. Not right away, not in a post, but in real time, over time. Every time you choose to keep going without anyone clapping. That's the obsession that builds a legacy. You know what keeps most people stuck. It's not failure, it's attachment, holding on to things that have already expired. People, habits, environments, mindsets, dead weight. But they keep it anyway because it's familiar, comfortable, safe, even when it's draining them, even when it's shrinking them. They cling to what's killing their potential because walking away feels like loss. But here's the truth. If it's not growing you, it's already costing you. Everything you allow into your life is either feeding your future or feeding your fear. There's no neutral. There's no "it doesn't really matter." It does matter. The conversations you tolerate, the relationships you hold onto out of guilt, the habits you excuse, the cycles you justify, all of it is shaping who you're becoming. So you better be ruthless about what stays. Because growth isn't passive, you don't drift into the next version of yourself. You cut your way there, deliberately, quietly, decisively. Most of the time, the breakthrough doesn't come from adding more. It comes from letting go. It comes from saying, this thought, this person, this routine, it doesn't serve who I'm becoming, and then acting on it without fanfare, no big speech, no explanation, just an internal decision that this ends here. That kind of quiet conviction, that's how loud futures get built, not through noise, not through validation, but through small, private, powerful shifts that compound over time. Everyone talks about elevating, leveling up. Sounds good, right? But the truth is, elevation requires elimination. You cannot rise while you're weighed down by what you've outgrown. You can't move forward if you're dragging anchors from your past, and most of those anchors, they don't look like problems. They look like comfort. They look like just one more time. Like it's not that bad. Like I'll deal with it later. That's how mediocrity survives. Through quiet, daily compromises that look harmless in the moment, but cost you everything in the long run. You know what's no longer growing you. You feel it, the tension, the resistance, the way your energy drops when you're around it, the way you have to convince yourself to stay. That's the sign. But instead of acting on it, most people negotiate with it. They try to make it work. They try to keep one foot in growth and one foot in comfort. Doesn't work. Can't stretch and stay small at the same time. You either let it go, or it holds you back. Letting go isn't weakness. It's strength. It's saying, I'm no longer available for anything that shrinks me. That's not cold. That's clarity. And clarity builds freedom. Because now your time, your energy, your focus, they're going to the things that move you forward. No more distractions disguised as loyalty. No more draining conversations you pretend are supportive. No more tolerating environments that don't reflect your standards. Just clean decisions, sharp boundaries, unapologetic alignment, and you don't need to announce it. The most powerful shifts don't come with a warning. They come in silence. One day you're just done. You don't explain. You don't argue. You don't seek permission. You just move different. Quiet decisions, loud outcomes, that's the formula. Because when you stop feeding what no longer serves you, you create space. And in that space, everything changes. Your energy returns. Your focus sharpens, your standards rise. You don't even have to try to attract better. You become better and better starts showing up. That's the thing no one tells you. Growth isn't just about what you start doing. It's about what you stop tolerating. It's about subtracting until only what matters is left. And that subtraction, it's hard, it's lonely, it's uncomfortable, but it's necessary. Because when you let go of what's holding you back, you give yourself permission to actually move. You stop spinning in circles. You stop staying stuck in situations that already showed you who they are. You finally give yourself permission to outgrow the version of you that kept playing small just to make everyone else feel okay. And yeah, it'll feel quiet at first, lonely even, but that silence, that's the sound of alignment. That's where your next chapter starts. No chaos, no drama, just decisions, clean cuts, and those decisions. They won't get applause. They won't get noticed. But they'll build something bigger than attention ever could. Freedom. And from that freedom comes everything you've been trying to chase while staying attached to the very things keeping you stuck.